This is the international news on Atlantic Television Network. First, the headlines. Gambia, bill seeking to decriminalize FGM passes second reading. Gaza, Israel airstrikes kills Hamas leader Marwan Issa. Japan Central Bank increases its key rate interest rate. Russia, President Putin hails annexation of Crimea. United States, Trump says it is impossible to secure a bond. Australia, authorities to recall surveillance aircraft from Ukraine.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing. You human trafficker.
Honorable they are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Criminalize FGM passes second reading. A bill seeking to decriminalize female genital mutilation in the Gambia has passed its latest parliamentary stage, known as the second reading. Though female genital mutilation was criminalized in the Gambia in 2015, some seeking to overturn the ban argue that it violates religious freedom and it's against the country's cultural practices. The bill will now go to a committee of MPs for further consideration. Survivors of FGM and activists had hoped it would be thrown out. They said that not only did the practice cause lifelong damage, but it was also against the women's right to bodily autonomy. They have also argued that removing the ban on FGM would tarnish the Gambia's human rights record. There was a heated debate in Parliament, but in the end, 42 members voted for the bill. Survey, 73% of women in the Gambia have undergone FGM, with 65% of those caught being under the age of 5. If the bill is passed, the Gambia would be the first country to have reversed the ban on FGM. Two Eritrean refugees who were killed and 6 others were seriously injured after they were involved in a road accident on Kenya Nakuru-Eldoret Highway. The refugees were traveling in a minibus taxi which collided with a stationary truck parked up beside the road. One survivor told the press that the accident happened so suddenly that they could not explain how it occurred and could not see the lorry parked beside the road. Several of the refugees have broken legs, fractured hands, and complain of head pains. According to a police report, the lorry had developed mechanical problems and was left unattended on the road without any warning signs. Recently, desperate Eritrean refugees have set off from Ethiopia on a journey southward, aiming for Uganda. They can often pay up to $2,000 in order to make the trip. In December, 5 Eritreans who were heading to Uganda from Ethiopia were found dead in a boat accident on Kenya Lake, Turkana. Similarly, last month, 4 Eritrean refugees were killed in a car accident near Meru, Kenya. Ethiopia's biggest commercial bank is scrambling to recoup large sums of money withdrawn by customers after a systems glitch, and customers discovered early on Saturday that they could take out more cash than they had in their accounts at the Commercial Bank of Ethiopia. More than $40 million was withdrawn or transferred to other banks, local media reported. It took several hours for the institution to freeze transactions. Much of the money was withdrawn from the state-owned CBE by students, Bank President Abiy Sano told journalists on Monday. News of the glitch spread across universities, largely via messaging apps and phone calls. Long lines formed at campus ATMs with a student in western Ethiopia telling press people were withdrawing money until police officers arrived on campus to stop them. The student who attended Jima University Institute of Technology said he did not believe it was true when his friends told him at around 1 o'clock local time that it was possible to withdraw large amounts from ATMs or transfer the money using the bank's app. Another student at Dila University in southern Ethiopia said a number of his peers retrieved money from CBE between midnight and 2 o'clock local time. South African TV personality Shamiso Masaka was removed from a flight from Durban to Johannesburg over her unruly behavior, officials say. Local airline Sam Air said on Monday that the flight has been delayed by 90 minutes because of the influencer's refusal to follow safety regulations. It added that the pilot was forced to stop the already running engines. Ms. Musaka did not respond to the press request for comment, but she did film the interaction on Instagram Live. The influencer has over 140,000 followers on Instagram and is a presenter on the MTV-based South African music channel. The video has been widely shared on social media, with many rallying behind Ms. Musaka. In the video, the influencer is asked to leave the flight by police officers but refuses to do so until they promise to book her another flight. The airline crew refused this request. She tries to defend herself and attempts to rally support from other passengers to corroborate that she wasn't being a nuisance. Ms. Musaka then says she feels the incident is racially motivated, as she claims the cabin crew have failed to adequately explain what she has done wrong. Sam Air Chief Financial Officer Laura van der Molen told local newspaper there was no racial profiling. She said that Ms. Musaka had refused to adhere to the regulations of the airline and unfortunately had to be forcefully removed. The situation occurred on Sunday at King Shaka Zulu International Airport. Sam Air says the incident has been referred to the South African police and they will deal with the matter. The airline says it will support the police in their further investigation and potential prosecution of the matter. Algeria has condemned the plan by Morocco to confiscate the premises of the Algerian embassy in Rabat. Algeria severed diplomatic relations with Morocco in 2021, accusing Rabat of supporting terrorist group involved in starting wildfires in the country. Since then, there has been a reduced staff at the embassy led by a junior diplomat. Last Friday, Morocco announced to confiscate properties owned by Algeria, including land, houses and offices in Rabat, as part of an extension of the premises of its Ministry of Foreign Affairs. This has sparked anger, and Algiers has entered a new phase in their provocative behavior towards Algeria, Algeria's foreign ministry said in a statement. It described the project as a violation of the respect and duty to protect diplomatic missions of sovereign states as stipulated in international law and principles. The Algerian government vowed to respond to this provocative behavior with all the means deemed appropriate. It will explore all legal avenues, including within the United Nations, to protect its interests. Morocco is yet to comment. The two neighbors have been at loggerheads for many years over the status of the disputed territory of Western Sahara. Hamas leader Marwan Issa died in an Israeli airstrike, White House official Jake Sullivan has said. As deputy military commander, Mr. Issa would be Hamas's most senior leader to die since the war began on October 7th. The Palestinian group, which controls Gaza, has not officially commented on reports of his death. Israeli media sources have reported that Mr. Issa was killed in a strike on a tunnel under the Nusra refugee camp in central Gaza last week. The deputy commander of Hamas's military wing was considered one of Israel's most wanted men. The European Union, which placed the Hamas leader on its terrorist blacklist, linked him directly to the 7th October attack led by the group, which killed approximately 1,200 people. He had been jailed in Israel for 5 years during the first Palestinian Intifada or uprising and detained by the Palestinian Authority in 1997 until the start of the second Intifada in 2000. The Israeli military has killed a number of Hamas's senior leaders since 7 October. Hamas political leader Saleh el-Aruri died in an explosion in Beirut, southern suburb of Dahir. Israel is widely considered responsible for that attack. Mr. Sullivan, the White House National Security Advisor, said other Hamas leaders were believed to be in hiding, likely deep in the Hamas tunnel network in Gaza. He pledged that the U.S. would aid Israel in its continued hunt for top Hamas leaders, adding justice will come for them. But he also emphasized that the U.S. President Joe Biden has expressed his growing alarm over the rising number of civilian deaths in Gaza in a call with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, their first conversation in a month. The U.S. President reiterated his commitment to Israel and its right to go after Hamas, according to Mr. Sullivan, but he also said that it would be a mistake for Israel's military to invade Rafah, a city in southern Gaza where an estimated million refugees have fled to during the war. The invasion would lead to more innocent civilian deaths, worsen the already dire humanitarian crisis, deepen the anarchy in Gaza, and further isolate Israel internationally, the U.S. National Security Advisor told reporters. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday agreed to send a team of Israeli officials to Washington to discuss with Biden administration officials a prospective Rafah operation, as each side is looking to make clear to the other its perspective, the White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said. The agreement to hold talks about Rafah came as Biden and Netanyahu spoke Monday, their first interaction in more than a month, as the divide has grown between allies over the food crisis in Gaza and Israel's conduct during the war, according to the White House. Sullivan said the talks will happen in the coming days and are expected to involve military, intelligence, and humanitarian experts. The White House has been skeptical of Netanyahu's plan to carry out an operation in the southern city of Rafah, where about 1.5 million displaced Palestinians to eliminate Hamas following the militant group's deadly October 7 attack. Sullivan said Biden, in the call once again, urged Netanyahu not to carry out the Rafah operation. At the coming talks, he said U.S. officials will lay out an alternative approach that will target key Hamas elements in Rafah and secure the Egypt-Gaza border without a major ground invasion. The president has rejected, and did again today, the straw man that raising questions about Rafah is the same as raising questions about defeating Hamas. Sullivan said, "That is just nonsense. Our position is that Hamas should not be allowed a safe haven in Rafah or anywhere else but a major ground operation. There would be a mistake. It would lead to more innocent civilian deaths, worsen the already dire humanitarian crisis, deepen the anarchy in Gaza, and further isolate Israel internationally." The call comes after Republicans in Washington and Israeli officials were quick to express outrage after Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer sharply criticized Netanyahu's handling of the war in Gaza and called for Israel to hold 2 new elections. They accused the Democratic leader of breaking the unwritten rule against interfering in a close ally's electoral politics. You are watching the international news on Atlantic Television Network. We return after this break.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honourable
You human trafficker.
Honourable
You are a human.
They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Welcome back. This is the international news on Atlantic Television Network. Now the rest of our stories. The Bank of Japan increased its key interest rate from minus 0.1% to a range of 0% to 0.1%. It comes as wages have jumped after consumer prices rose. In 2016, the bank cut the rate below zero in an attempt to stimulate the country's stagnating economy. The hike means that there are no longer any countries left with negative interest rates. The BOJ has also abandoned a policy known as yield curve control, which saw it buying Japanese government bonds to control interest rates. YCC policy has been in place since 2016 but has been criticized for distorting markets by keeping long-term interest rates from rising. In a statement announcing the decision, the BOJ said it will keep buying broadly the same amount of government bonds as before and ramp up purchases in case yields rise rapidly. Expectations that the BOJ would finally raise rates had been growing since Governor Kazuo Ueda took office in April last year. The latest official figures show that even though the rate of price rises has been slowing, Japan's core consumer inflation held at the bank target in January. The decision to finally hike rates hinged on the country's major corporations increasing wages for their workers to help them cope with the rising cost of living. Nobuko Kobayashi from consulting firm EY Parthenon told the press. Struggling Chinese property giant Evergrande and its founder Hu Ka-yang have been accused of inflating revenues by $78 billion in the 2 years before the firm defaulted on its debt. The country's financial markets regulator has fined the company's mainland business, Hengda Real Estate, $583.5 billion. Mr. Hu also faces being banned for life from China financial market. In January, Evergrande was ordered to liquidate by a Hong Kong court. The China Securities Regulatory Commission laid much of the blame on Mr. Hu, who was once China's richest man, for allegedly instructing staff to falsely inflate Hengda's annual results in 2019 and 2020. Mr. Hu was also fined $6.5 million according to a filing by the company to the Shenzhen and Shanghai stock exchanges. Last September, Mr. Hu, who is also the company's chairman, was put under police surveillance as he was investigated over suspected illegal crimes. The announcement comes days after the CSRC vowed to crack down on security frauds and protect small investors with teeth and horns. Evergrande has been the poster child of China real estate crisis with more than $300 billion of debt. Liquidators have been appointed to look at Evergrande's overall financial position and identify potential restructuring strategies that could include seizing and selling off assets so that the proceeds can be used to repay outstanding debts. However, the Chinese government may be reluctant to see work halt on property developments in China